You are now tuned in to Hollywood Wayz with Doug and Breezy. Oh, hey Ted.
All right, welcome to Hollywood Wayz. I'm Doug Ellen. We got a great guest coming up, but just a little update. First draft of this new show is done, and I'm going independent. As I said before, I have locked down 2 Golden Globe nominated actors and Emmy nominated actors as well. So I'm pretty excited, and they're going to work real cheap. I'm going to keep them on. But anyway, we got a showrunner who's also an entrepreneur and really is doing a lot of the stuff that I've been talking about on this show. So I think it's a great story to talk about. But Bentley Evans, how you doing?
I'm fantastic, man. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for coming in. Have you done a lot of podcasts or no?
I think 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 2, and I love it.
Yeah, did you like it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny how this new world is going, and everybody's got one, so I'm surprised you're not like, oh, I have 3 podcasts myself.
No, I don't have one. I didn't get into space. I did Russell Peters, and I did one with Terrell Owens.
Oh, I did Terrell's also.
Yeah.
What'd you think? That was good.
I had a good time with those guys, man.
I did too. They were fun.
Yeah.
Although I told, I play a lot of this sport pickleball. Do you know what this is? Because I heard you have a tennis court.
I do. Jamie Foxx is playing pickleball, and he's trying to sell me on it. He's telling me I should turn my tennis court into a pickleball court.
100%.
Really?
Yeah. It's the greatest game ever, and I've, I'm been trying to tell our producer Ted Foxman to do that for a long time.
I'm building one. The plans are in with permitting right now.
All right, exciting. But yeah, I play with some of the best guys in the country, and we were talking about our age as we're getting close to 50. Bentley, as sick as that is, but it's a sport you can play pretty competitively at a later age than I think tennis. So
okay.
Anyway, we should check it out. We'll get you on the court. So what's going on with you? You show ran Martin. I just found out we're in one of my favorite movies of all time, The Hollywood Shuffle, the Robert Townsend, and I guess Keenan did too, which I knew Keenan was in it. I didn't know he wrote the script as well. But tell me how you got started in this business. You're from Oakland, and what was the beginning of it?
Well, I'm born in the Bay. I'm raised in L.A. I did all my school time right here in L.A., and never really had a desire to do anything other than this. I thought maybe I wanted to be in real estate, following in the footsteps of my dad, but wasn't in the cards. I do a lot of kids, Todd Bridges. Remember him from Different Strokes?
Of course I do, yeah. Wait, what do you do with Todd Bridges?
Well, he grew up in my neighborhood, so it was like, seeing him on TV and seeing this rise with him and Gary Coleman, you kind of wanted to do that. And I had another friend that was in the Die Hard movie, this kid named DeVorie White, and he was
the limo driver.
He was the limo driver. You got it. And he was like one of my best friends in school. So
Argyle,
that's right, on Head of the Class. And I never wanted to, tell him that I wanted to be in the business because you didn't want to rain on his parade, or you would have stopped getting the invites.
Right.
But I really secretly wanted to be in the business my whole time in high school and stuff. And so after high school, I did the junior college tour. So I went from West LA to Santa Monica to El Camino, and it was like, okay, this college shit's not working out for me, man. It's just not going to work. And so a friend of mine introduced me to Robert Townsend just on a whim and said, man, we should be actors, man. We should get in show business. And I was like, actors? That don't even sound right. Well, that sounds corny. How the heck are we going? Where do you sign up for acting?
So you're not doing theater. You're not writing in high school. Nothing.
No, man. My sister was like the theater person, and I thought it was corny. And it was like, nah, I'm not doing that. But I really wanted to do it, but just too ashamed or embarrassed to, put my ego aside and do it. And so, but once I met Robert, I set foot on the set of Hollywood Shuffle. We were shooting not far from here. And when I walked on the set, I knew that I had to do this with this type of environment for the rest of my life. And Robert handed me the script. Now, as stupid as it sounds, he hands me the script to Hollywood Shuffle. He says, read it from cover to cover.
In front of him.
That's
what I do. I just made Kevin Connolly read my script in front of me. So.
That's right. Kevin, read the script, man. So I read this thing from cover to cover, and Robert's like, what do you think? I said, wow, you put these words on the paper? And he goes, yeah, that's writing. And I was like, that's what I want to do. He goes, slow down, buddy. It's a lot that you have to do before you can just do that. What you should do is continue to help me out as a PA in a sense, and I'll show you the ropes. And basically I spent 2 years with Robert, never got a paycheck. I did everything they asked me to do.
But that's unbelievable to get involved with someone who's going to do something that good. And again, like let's talk Hollywood Shuffle, which we've mentioned on this podcast a couple of times, which, like I said, independent movie. I think it cost $100,000 and made Robert Townsend's career and got all of them, Keenan and David Allen Greer and others, rolling after that movie.
Absolutely.
But when you read it, obviously it was making a statement that's pretty relevant today as well about the parts and the availability to roles for African-American actors. So when you were reading it, were you like, oh, this is something more than just a funny comedy, or what did you think?
No, because I was too young to really understand the statement that it was making. I just thought it was funny. Now, of course, watching it afterwards, of course, you saw it on the big screen, and you realize, wow, this is a statement. But when we're making it, it was just a lot of fun. It was like trying to find myself. What am I going to do with my life? And so, no, I didn't look at it, from the intellectual side of it. I looked at it from a comedic side. And going back and seeing it years later, I do realize what was happening. Now, once we finished and I started furthering my career as an actor, then I saw the relevance of the film.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody who hasn't seen this movie, you need to watch it immediately. And I've said it before. So we rent this movie in college at the time when, if you don't bring your VHS tape back, remember they would fine you like $1,000.
Yes.
And I swear to you, I used to get high every night in college and watch this movie for probably 100 days in a row. I knew every single line of it. And to find out that you were one of the killer pimps in that scene is pretty wild now. But everybody should check this movie out. But your introduction to Hollywood, which is amazing, you meet Robert Townsend. I didn't get that lucky when I started. And he starts really letting you into the whole process and the whole thing, how it goes.
Yeah, because it was an independent film, so there were no rules, there was no studio, there was nobody to tell him what to do. So he kind of just did it his own way. So had it been a studio film, there's no way I would have got the keys to the castle to see the behind the scenes. I mean, literally, I was taking the tape rolls, the film rolls, and taking them to have them developed in the middle of the night, and they're telling me you better get there, and you call me when you get there from a payphone and let me know.
Yeah, don't lose that.
All that stuff. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I was doing all of that stuff, and I mean, we had no permits to shoot the movie. We're standing on corners with walkie-talkies, letting them know when police cars are coming and stuff, and shut it down. It's a college film. That's what we're saying. So it was a lot of fun.
And do you realize you're working with, Keenan, David Allen, I forget who else is in it. I mean, these are some of the great comedy guys of the next 20, 30 years that follow. Did you realize how good they were at the time?
Well, you knew they were good, but you didn't know who they were. We didn't know who Damon Wayans was yet. We didn't know who John Witherspoon was, other than the fact that we had seen him on the Richard Pryor show years prior to that. But we still didn't know the magnitude of the actors and actresses we were working with on that show. And so many of them, Paul Mooney, they've gone on to do big, big, big things in their careers. So no, it was just a lot of fun and very funny people. But while we were making it, a lot of them were doing stand-up at this little place we used to go to called the Comedy Act Theater, where Robin Harris, where his career was spawned from.
Wow.
So you would see them do their stand-up, but you knew you were a part of something special.
That's great. And then, okay, so you do this 2 years with Robert, and then what? What's your next move?
Well, shoots. The next move was the one good thing that came out of that was Robert said, I never paid you. I couldn't pay you, but I'm going to get you your SAG card. And I knew enough about what a SAG card was to be excited about that. So that was a fair exchange. But then when the movie sold to Samuel Goldwyn Company, all the actors got Taft-Hartley, and we also got, I think I got the biggest check that I had ever seen in my life, which was probably like maybe $2,500 or something like that. And it just blew my mind. I went and bought a car and all kinds of stuff. But then after that, I got to be Keenan's stand-in on I'ma Get You Sucker. Right. And of course, I got a speaking role in the movie that ended up on the editing room floor, but I got a check. And so, I got a chance to do that. And then that kind of sealed my relationship with the Wayans family. And then so Sean and Marlon, they come to town and we become fast friends. And from that point on, I was an honorary Wayans,
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
and so what are you trying to do? Are you trying to act exclusively, or are you starting to write as well?
No, I wanted to write at that point in time, but I was acting because I was always told that this is the way that you get on the sets and you get the scripts and you meet the producers by acting. And then you can parlay that into the whole writing.
A real career.
Yeah. But here's the thing. I started booking roles, man, as an actor. There was, I'm a gangly looking kid. I'm 18, 19 years old. I'm 6'5". I'm getting every basketball role that I go up for, but I can't play ball.
Right.
Right. And so, but I'm getting the roles and everything and really starting to make a name for myself around town with the casting directors. And then I end up getting a big audition where I'm screen testing against a guy named Martin Lawrence. And
For what?
For this show called A Little Bit Strange. And Martin and I were up for the same role. Now, Martin's 5'7", I'm 6'5". Why are we up for the same role? I have no clue. But we were up for the same role, and he ends up getting the role. But we became friends at this audition, so it was kind of like,
You're just a likable guy, because not everybody becomes friends with everybody at these things. Usually there's competition between the actors trying to get the same role. So how do you become friends at an audition where you're competing for it?
So it was interesting. So you remember the days, I think they still do it, when you screen test, you're there all day.
Yeah.
And so they make you sign a contract, and you're there waiting for them to make the decisions. And I remember Martin coming over to me and saying, "Hey, man, what are you doing for lunch?" And I was like, I don't have any plans. And I was like, that's nice. Because I knew who he was already. He was doing stand-up, and he had done What's Happening Now. And so I knew who he was. And he said, "You want to go to Taco Bell?" I was like, yeah, let's go get them tacos, right? It's taquitos. So we go to Taco Bell. And from that point, Martin's like, "Man, I'm new in town. I don't know anybody here." And I'm like, "Well, why don't you come over to my parents' house for Thanksgiving?" He comes over, and we just hit a solid friendship.
And what happens when he gets that part?
So he called me and he said, "I just want you to know I got the role. I'm just letting you know." But it was unfair. His manager was one of the producers. They had it all.
It was loaded from the beginning.
Come on, man. It was loaded. So,
but he was still grateful for the Thanksgiving invite, even though he stole your career.
Absolutely, he stole that. but he did make me a promise that day, and you don't see this happening too much. He said, "Whichever one of us makes it first, we're gonna look out for the other one." I said, "I like that. I like that." And so as it would be, he ends up getting the opportunity to do a TV series, Martin, and he comes to me and he says,
"What year is this? Because weren't you in House Party too?"
Yeah, so I was in House Party. We shot House Party in '89.
Is that before this or after this?
This is before that. So we do House Party, and '89 comes out in '90, and let's see what happened. Oh, I know. So I'll tell you another one too that we did before that too. So after we do House Party in '89, Martin has a huge role. I have a small role, but I'm hanging out on set every day. I'm getting to know Reggie Hudlin and everybody. And so I'm really going after my acting career at this point. And I'm going, I can do this. So then right after that, both Martin and I were up for this other TV series for ABC that Keenan Ivory Wayans had written called Hammer, Slammer, and Slade. And it was a spinoff of the movie, I'ma Get You Sucker. Well, I was Damon's understudy, and that was the role that I was up for. So I said, I know all the lines, everything, right? And so Martin and I booked this series together where he's playing this character, Willie, and I'm playing Lenny, and we're these two bumbling idiots that are fences for these, these street thugs. And so it, had Jim Brown in it, and Isaac Hayes and Bernie Casey, a bunch of these old time guys. And so we did the role together. Show doesn't get picked up. The greatest thing.
So you just did a pilot.
We just did a pilot for ABC. And it aired, but we didn't go any further because Keenan was focusing his career on In Living Color.
Right.
So it didn't happen. Michael Schultz, the great Michael Schultz, directed it. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. But Martin and I really, really sealed our friendship on that, through that experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So just House Party stuff. My career was, I was driving. I think I was a PA on House Party 2, I think. And I drove Helen Martin. Did you? You must have worked with Helen.
I worked with
right?
Helen. Yeah.
So Helen, who I ended up getting in, just so because we're going to get into Bentley's story of entrepreneurship and starting your own business. But I did my first short film, and I was driving around Helen Martin, and I told her, I said, "I'm doing this short film. Would you be in it?" Which I don't even know if it was appropriate for the PA who was driving her, but Helen Martin was in, 227 and a million things.
Everything.
I mean, you'd recognize her from everything, including obviously Hollywood Shuffle. And I don't know if she was on Martin ever, but
She never did Martin. She never did an episode of Martin, but did we have her on Jamie Foxx show? One of those shows we had her on.
But she was so great. But anyway, I got her to do my short film with Ernie Hudson and David Schwimmer before Friends and Johnny Silverman and a couple other people. So that's how my career got started. So you got to make those relationships, as you're going. But so you then Martin is going to go do his own show. And when does your writing career start? I haven't heard anything about writing.
Okay, so this agent that I had at the time, this guy named Desmond Gums, and he kept telling me, man, you know what? In your downtime when you're not auditioning, you know what you should do? You should write like some commercials and write like Burger King jingles and stuff like that. And at one point I wanted to be a singer, and at one point I wanted to write songs. So I started writing these little commercials, and I would have my mom type these little scripts up and stuff. Right. And so then he would say, you should watch what's on TV and write scripts. So I started in my spare time just writing scripts. I'm still living at home with my mom and dad.
For shows you liked.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Everything that was on the air that I liked, I'm like, let me see if I can write a version of that. So I would call the studios and have them mail me scripts, and I started writing my own scripts. So now it's very interesting. You said House Party 2. They were shooting at Union Station. Remember that? Maybe. Okay. Well, Martin was shooting at Union Station, and the day before he was doing a scene, he and I went to a Clippers game, and that's a faux pas. I'm a Laker fan, but anyway, I digress. We're going to the Clippers game, and on the way, Martin says to me, "Hey, man, they're talking. HBO's talking about doing something with me with my career. They want to do some sort of show. If it happens, I don't want you to say that I didn't look out. So tell me now, do you want to audition? What do you want to do?" And I said, "If you really want to help me out, I want to be a writer." And he said, "What?" I said, "A writer." He goes, his exact words, he says, "Come on, man, that's what the white guys do." I swear to God, that's what he said. And I said, "No, that's what I want to do. I want to be a writer, man."
Get Helen Martin's PA.
Exactly.
The guy who's driving him.
So he says, "All right, man, well, you got to show me something." So the next day I take him a bunch of scripts that I had written to Union Station. He's shooting House Party 2. I leave him in his dressing room. He calls me the next day on a Saturday, and he says, "I'm sorry, bro. I had no idea. I didn't know you were this talented. Come to my house. I want to go over these scripts with you." And so that was the beginning. And then he introduces me to Chris Albrecht over at HBO.
Who made my career, by the way.
See, and Chris gave me a shot. He wasn't very friendly to me at first.
He's never friendly.
Exactly. But he takes me in, and so, as it would happen, Martin says, "Bentley wrote this script that I want to do as my series." And they're like, "No, that's not going to happen. We're going to introduce you to the writer that's going to do your show, John Bowman. But if something happens, maybe we'll make Bentley a trainee, a Writers Guild trainee or something." I'm gung-ho, like, yeah. And Martin's like, nah. He's going to be a writer on the show. So, he took me that extra step.
Wow.
And made sure that they put me in a position where I could really grow fast.
I mean, what a great story to have. Obviously either of you could have hit first, but to have it kind of be a team that really looks out for each other.
Yeah.
So then the show gets created. Does I don't remember. Does Bowman create it?
Bowman created it. Bowman got created by credit. Martin did, and Topper Carew, who was Martin's manager at the time. Mm-hmm. And so the three of them split the created by, and from that point on.
Were you involved with writing the pilot at all?
Absolutely.
Right.
From day one, the only writer that ever did the show out of maybe 30 writers, I was the only one from the beginning to the end.
So are you pissed?
No, not necessarily, because I didn't know the business at the time, and it's okay. It's like I was involved in it, but I still was very green to the business, and I just wanted to help out wherever I could help. And Chris made sure that I got everything that I deserved before we finished the show. So
all right, good. I mean, it's speaking to the same thing that we're doing now, which going out, doing your own stuff, which, if you can figure it out when you're young, like Robert Townsend did when he was, I don't know, how old was he when he did Hollywood Shuffle?
He was 28.
28, and then Keenan was
27.
Even younger doing that. So I think that's great. So I want to get into like more of this entrepreneurial stuff that you're doing now, producing and directing. So we'll be back right after this.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back, Hollywood Wayz. I was just, in between the break, I'm just thinking about that. And sometimes you go, oh, you don't get lucky enough. But the truth is when I did that short film with Helen Martin, I did it with David Schwimmer before Friends. And the second Friends hit, obviously we know became a worldwide phenomenon instantaneously. And David, there was part of us, we used to joke around, oh, we're going to be like Scorsese and De Niro of comedy, whatever. And the first thing David did was get me a screenplay sold to Miramax. So when you can, A, when your creative abilities align, but B, you're working with good people who actually are true to their words, it's pretty rare in Hollywood, but I think it's interesting that both of us had that experience. So I just want to go a little further with Martin. So what else? How else does he help this career get going?
Yeah,
this is Martin Lawrence we're talking about.
Yeah, rarely do you hear those great stories about what somebody did for someone else, and I can tell you that this guy was like an angel in my career. He took it to a level that I could have never gotten to by myself, or it would have taken a long time. What he did was, in the process of them trying to put this Martin show together, which they didn't even have an idea yet. But Martin calls me and says, look, man, I'm going to 20th Century Fox. We're going to be on the lot. You need to come with me to this meeting. So I ride with him to Fox, and, I'm blown away by the offices and everything. It's just, it's a mind fuck. It's crazy. And we get to this office, and I don't remember who was the president at Fox at that time, but we get there. I think it was maybe Peter Roth. And we get there, and we go into this room, this office, and there's a secretary. She says, Martin, they're waiting for you. Your friend can wait here outside. So Martin says, what are you talking about? He can wait outside. And I said, hey, man, no, it's cool. Don't worry about it. I'll wait here. He goes, no. What are you talking about? He can't come in. So she says, well, let me get Mr. Albrecht. So she goes in and she gets Chris Albrecht, and he comes to the door. I had never seen him before, and he's got this little sergeant type of attitude. And he goes, Martin, what's up? They're waiting for you. What's going on? He goes, yeah, they said that my friend can't come in. And he goes, yeah, well, you can't. I mean, he's going to sit right here. So Martin says, hey, fuck that, Chris. These exact words. He says, if he doesn't come in this fucking room, I'm not coming in the room. Now, that's just what it is. And so Chris is like, all right, well, bring him in. So now,
Real entourage there.
Right. So now I'm in this room, and it's all these execs. Everybody's got on suits and ties. And there's John Bowman, who actually ultimately created the show, and Martin's manager, Topper, and they're all sitting there. And Martin says, yeah, so this is Bentley, and he's going to create my show. And they said, no, that's not how it works here, Martin. He's not going to create your show. So they put me on blast. They were like, so what have you written so far? And I said, well, I got a spec script for Cosby. Keenan's talking about letting me write some sketches on In Living Color. I mean, I got a couple of things, and they were like, yeah, okay. So, but I'm looking at Martin, I'm trying to read him, and he's angry. He's not happy about this at all. So after the introduction to John, and John kind of introduces the idea of what the Martin show could be, Martin's in agreement. Everybody's in agreement. I'm quiet, sitting back. And so we leave. Now, when we're leaving the lot, Martin's not speaking to me the whole time walking to the car. And we get to the car, and I said, hey, man, look, I really appreciate what you did, man, but don't fuck up your opportunity trying to look out for me. And he looked at me, and he poked me in the chest with his finger, and he said, fuck you. Don't ever say nothing like that to me. I'm looking out for you. Don't ever, look at me and say that you don't, because maybe you don't want it. He said, maybe you don't want it. I'm looking out for you, so you go with me. If I say this is what we're doing, you ride with it. And it was a valuable lesson, because I didn't really understand what he was saying until later on. He was basically saying, I'm looking out for you. I'm bringing you along for the ride. Yeah. So,
but I think he was also saying, because I think that's what some people mistake, that a friendship can just lead to work. I think he was also saying, I believe in you. You better believe in yourself. And the fact that he was that confident with it when they're bringing all these professional writers in front of him is amazing,
Yeah.
And I feel the same way, Schwimmer did the same thing. He got to host SNL. He's like, yo, you want to come with me and you'll punch up sketches? Now, it went a little different in our meeting because we got to SNL and I was in the writer's room with them, but nobody was talking to me and there was no conversation like, no, my guy's writing everything. That didn't happen. But I think the fact is David believed in me before possibly I even believed in myself, and I think it's the same with you. So it's amazing that Martin was that confident with it.
He was, and I had that same experience. He took me to do Saturday Night Live with him, And I went through the whole thing with Sandler and Chris and all of the guys. Dave Chappelle was there as a writer at the time in
Wow.
the writers' room, and so I went through that experience. And some of my sketches actually made it, but that was a tough room with Lorne Michaels. That was a tough room.
Yeah, but that's cool though. I mean, I just think it's a great story. And then you got involved with Jamie Foxx too, like at the same time.
Yeah. You know what, Jamie? I got a deal over at Warner Brothers while I was doing the Martin Show. My agents said, "Hey, we're gonna get you this overall deal." I didn't even know what an overall deal was. I was like, "Oh, great, that sounds good. Overall, great, okay." So they take me on the tour. I go see every studio head in LA, and we landed Warner Brothers, and they said, "Hey, look, we want to do a deal with you." So they offered me this 2-year deal, and the first person's name I saw on the roster was Jamie Foxx. I had met Jamie a few times, but I knew he was making a name for himself on In Living Color. And I said, that's the guy I want to work with. And they were like, yeah, well, you know what? We already have him with another showrunner.
Another white guy.
Yeah, exactly. There's a look for somebody else. And I was like, can you just set up a meeting with me? Can I just get a meeting with him? So they set me up with him and his managers. And, I went in the meeting and, I could tell he wasn't feeling me at all. He was so quiet. So I said, hey, I'm not getting the gig, so I'm just going to say whatever the fuck I want to say. And I was like, hey, man, you know what? I do this shit for Martin, man. You're probably not feeling me, man, but, I'm the best that could, the best person, candidate to write a show for you. But if you don't see that, man, whatever. And so I leave the meeting, and my agent calls me, and he said, hey, what happened in that meeting? I said, man, I fucked up, man. He goes, no. They want to see you again. Jamie says, come back to Warner Brothers now. So I come back down Barham, and I meet Jamie in the parking lot at Warner Brothers, and he's like, hey, man, you said something that was really interesting to me in that meeting. And I said, what was that? He goes, I liked your confidence, and you said something that I couldn't really relate to. I said, what was it? He goes, you said that you didn't grow up poor. You grew up rich. I said, well, can I say this on the air? I said, what I said to him was, I grew up nigger rich, which is black people rich, but that ain't really rich. That's like, you're doing good for black folks, but that's not really good.
So you could say it. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I can't react.
I'm
can't
uncomfortable just listening.
I don't even. I'm just pretending I didn't hear anything. So what did he say to that?
So he said, man, I grew up really, really poor, but I've never really talked to anybody who had your story. You said your father drove Lincoln Continentals and stuff. I said, yeah, man, I don't know that experience. I never lived in the projects. We lived in what they call Black Beverly Hills now. That's where I came up. And he was like, I love that about you, man. I think we can do something together.
Wow.
And so from that day on, we started developing for Warner Brothers.
So your black privilege helped you.
See, my black privilege helped me, see? You know what I mean?
So, and then you start, did you create that show? Or?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I created the show with Jamie. I started writing drafts of ideas, and everything that I turned in, he hated right away. And then he said, I just want to do something about a hotel. And I said, what else? He goes, you figure that out. And so I just started jotting down ideas and coming up with treatments and synopsises. And finally he says, I like that. Put the characters together. And I put the characters together. We go into David Gianolari over at Warner Brothers at the time. And he goes, I love this. Let's take this thing out. So now we take it to ABC, NBC, CBS, the WB, which had just started. ABC makes us the first deal. They said, hey, look, we'll do the show. We'll do a pilot script deal with you. And so WB comes and says, we'll do a guaranteed 6 episodes on air guarantee. And I was like, we got to do that. Jamie's managers, no, we want to be with ABC. And I'm like, no. Let's be the big fish in the small pond over here at the WB. We'll last for 5 years. And that's what happened.
And what had he done at that point, Jamie?
Jamie had done... He had only done In Living Color. He had done a sitcom called Rock that he got fired from, but he was very funny on there. And he had done the movie Booty Call.
Right.
Yeah, at that time.
So he wasn't the massive star that we know today.
Oh, no,
Oscar
no.
winner. He had just gotten started.
And so you work with him for 5 years on this show.
Yeah.
Do you think, like, I'm working with a guy who's going to be a legend, a guy who can do anything? Or are you like, yeah, he's funny, he's great for this part? Or what are you thinking?
I had no idea he'd be who he is today. However, I did know that he was immensely talented. He used to do imitations of everybody. And before he did Ray, he wanted to do Marvin Gaye, and he does a spot-on Marvin Gaye impression. but he ended up doing Ray. But where he really broke out was when he did Any Given Sunday, and I had to create a schedule that would allow him to free up from the show to go do that movie, because Oliver Stone, oh, those stories are crazy. But Oliver Stone was like, no, we don't want you. You're a sitcom star, and we don't want you. So basically, I had to help, kind of tailor this, this schedule to work it out. And we were successful in doing that. So he could get away for a month and go shoot, and then come back and then go shoot. And it worked out for him. And that's what made him a big star Any Given Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, and you got Oliver Stone stories behind the scenes of what it was like with him? Or
oh, yeah, Jamie tells the greatest stories about how he had to audition for the role 6 times, and every time he came in there, Oliver Stone would say, you throw a football like a bitch. You're not getting this role. You're a sitcom star. I don't think you're funny. You're not even good. He just tore him up, He's snorting coke and shit in the meetings and stuff like that. And so, it takes Fox to tell the stories because he's absolutely the greatest storyteller I've ever met in my life.
Yeah, I mean, he's amazing. I watched those videos of him doing 15 different impressions in 30 seconds. It's mind-boggling how talented he is. All right, well, we're going to talk about some of your talents when we come back, and we'll be right back after this. All right, welcome back, Hollywood Wayz and Bentley Evans. So what I really want to talk to you about is, Tyler Perry's built this production studio in Atlanta that's like $1 billion industry, and you're doing this, or we're doing it even before him here. So I want to hear about that.
Well, the thing about Tyler, I met Tyler Perry some years ago. He was doing a show at the Kodak Theater. And I had been hearing about this guy out of Atlanta that's doing these black stage plays on the Chitlin circuit, and he's making millions of dollars. And I read that he made $50 million. And so it got my mind thinking. I'm going, whoa, $50 million? What the hell? What am I doing with my life, right? And so Tyler is like, I get an invite to go see him at the Kodak. So I go see this stage play. I'm sitting in the audience, and I'm going, this is some bullshit. Now, wait a minute. I'm not knocking what Tyler's doing, but I'm going, it's so simple. And basically, it's the Jamie Foxx show. It's a hotel, and he's just doing like a college reunion with this character, Madea. So I watch it. It's mildly entertaining, but so I watch it, and I'm having fun. The audience is into it. Afterwards, I go backstage, and I stand in line to meet Tyler Perry. So when I walk up to him, I shake his hand. I say, hey, man, I'm Bentley Evans. I just wanted to say hello to you, man, and meet you. And he goes, I know who you are. I said, you know who I am? How do you know me? This is before Instagram and any social media. So I'm like, how do you know me? He goes, I've been following you. I want to be just like you. And I said, well, I just read you made $50 million doing stage play. I'm trying to be like you.
Let's switch places.
Yes, exactly. He goes, no, but you have something that I don't have, and that's TV. I want the TV. I said, well, you can't just pimp TV like that. That's a whole different thing. And he goes, watch me. So I'm walking away going, this dude's a trip. He's crazy if he thinks he could just walk into TV like that. 6 months later, I'm watching Coming to TBS, Tyler Perry's House of Pain. And I'm going, he fucking did it. How did that happen?
Now, that one he did on his own, too, already?
Yeah. So basically, he took his own money and he invested in himself. He created these episodes. I believe he shot 10 episodes. And he went to a few different places to kind of shop it around. Wasn't a lot of people interested in it, but he had a deal with Lionsgate for his movies. So he said, hey, look, you guys got to figure out a TV thing or I'm taking my movies somewhere else. So Lionsgate hired Debmar Mercury, a syndication company. They bought that company for Tyler. And then they showed Tyler and Lionsgate how to distribute a show on a syndicated network. And so that's how that whole thing happened. And they were able to strike a deal with Fox and TBS. And the next thing, Tyler's got 100 episodes of that show. And then there's another show. And now he's just making shows and hundreds and hundreds of episodes later.
So were you looking at this model and going, okay, I want to do it in LA or what?
Yeah. So, but not only that, I had to get the golden ticket to go to Tyler Perry's studio so I could see for my own self.
What's going on back there?
But my agent calls and says, hey man, you know this Tyler Perry guy? I said, yeah, I met him. And he said, look, they're doing something in Atlanta. I'll submit your name if you want to go down there and write some scripts or some shit. Well, at the time I was like, man, it's a Writers Guild strike. I need some money. So I go down to Atlanta. I go to Tyler's studio. This is his first studio before the massive one that he has now. But I go there, and I'm impressed. There's Tyler Perry Studios and water coming down the sign. And so I'm like, what the hell? This is crazy. And so I meet with Tyler. We have a good conversation. He says, hey, man, I'm doing this show, Meet the Browns. If you want to write some scripts while you're in town, hey, man, I'll pay you like, $25,000 a pop. I'm like, 50 grand. Yeah, hell yeah, I'm sticking around. And so I hung out in Atlanta for about 3 weeks. I'm working at Tyler Perry's studio every day. The rapport is great. He's great. I go back home. They send for me again. Now all of his employees, these other producers, they don't like me. They're like, he's too close with the boss. They don't like me, so they're making everything difficult for me. Anytime I leave the studio, like, I wouldn't do that if I were you. I'm like, I'm just going to Chick-fil-A. We have food here in the cafeteria, my brother. You don't need to leave.
Someone sees you walking out, you're never coming back in.
Exactly. But they made it real difficult for me. But what it did do, it made me open up my eyes to see that I could do something like this myself. And then there was another gentleman I met in that same trip that had a studio outside of Atlanta, and he was making these independent shows, and he's the one that gave me the real confidence. He said, Bentley Evans, you can do this too.
What is this, 2007? Where are we at?
2008.
2008.
Yeah.
So you come back and you go, okay, what's the move? You're raising money, or what are you doing?
Well, so no, when I come back, I just started like trying to come up with some ideas based on some stuff that I saw as a kid. I loved Mary Tyler Moore show. And I said, maybe I'll do a Mary Tyler Moore show type of thing with a black lead. And I went to high school with Nia Long. Let me see if I can get Nia to come do this thing. So I called Nia. She's like, I'm with it. Let's do it. Of course, lawyers kind of mess deals up and stuff like that. But I'm like, Nia, look, I don't have no money. I need you to come do this thing. I'm going to build these sets. And I contacted a friend of mine, Raphael Sadiq, and I partnered up with my business partner, this guy named Trent Gums. And I said, look, we could really do this thing. And so Raphael said we could shoot at his music studio. So we made sets in a music studio. We built set walls in a garage.
So you have no distributor whatsoever. You're making this independent TV show.
Nothing.
Okay.
We said, if you build it, they will come. And so I got a couple of dollars that I scraped up, and I was at the Lakers game, and I saw a producer named Jeff Franklin. Do you know Jeff Franklin?
He's my ex-wife's cousin, but yeah.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah, Full House.
Yeah. So Jeff is at the Lakers game, and I see him at halftime. I said, Jeff, what's up? And he was like, hey, what's going on? I said, you want to get back into TV? He goes, I don't know. I said, no, let's talk. So he asked me to come up to the house. I'm sure you know the house.
Yeah, the Manson house.
The Manson house.
It is on the property where the Manson murders happened.
Yeah. The Helter Skelter house.
Yeah.
And so I go have lunch with Jeff, and he goes, what do you need from me? I said, you got a couple of $100,000?
I know you got a couple $100 million from Full House.
Right.
You got a couple hundred you can give me?
Exactly. So he says, well, you know what? If you show me some scripts, maybe I'll get down with you. And I showed him 10 scripts. I said, I wrote all 10 of these scripts. I believe in it, Jeff. We can get this thing on. I tell him who Tyler Perry is. I'm trying to sell him on this whole thing. He says, well, I don't believe you can do 10 episodes. But if you say that you'll do 4, do your best 4 out of the 10, and I'll give you a couple of $100,000.
Wow.
He gave me a couple of $100,000. He wired it into my account the next day. I was like, we're rolling, guys. Let's get these sets built.
Is it multicam?
Multicam.
So you shot 4 episodes of this multicam show with no distributor.
4 episodes of this show.
And Nia did it?
Nia did not do it.
Oh.
So the day that Nia was out, a friend of mine came to me and said, do you know Tatiana Ali from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? And I was like, I've never met her, but I remember when she was a kid, I used to see her at the set all the time. So he says, you want to meet with her? So I'm thinking, the little girl from Fresh Prince, when she walked in the door at Jerry's Deli, I said, oh, God damn, she's fine as hell now, right? And so she
How
said,
old was she at that time?
25. 25 at that time. So, yeah, about somewhere, or maybe a little later, maybe like 27, something like that. And so I explained to her what I'm doing. You know, she's a smart chick. She went to Harvard. She's a real sharp one. And she says, I get it. Let's partner on this thing. So I said, cool. So she comes on, and we cast everyone else, and a lot of the people that we cast have gone on to do big things. But Tatiana was with it, and so we shot these 4 episodes, and, you know, we were hustling. It was like, hey, man, look, we don't have any money, but we'll why don't we defer? You like the defer payments statement? Why don't we do this deferred payment? I learned what a deferred payment was. It's like, we can do it, but we'll do it on deferral.
Yeah, it's layaway.
Yeah, it's layaway, right?
So you shoot these 4 shows.
Yeah.
You were happy with the product?
Yeah, I mean, it was probably I was the most proud of those 4 episodes out of anything else I had ever done. After the hundreds of episodes of Martin and Jamie, because the pride was I did it myself.
Yeah.
And it was like a wake up, like, how the hell, why didn't you think of this before?
Yeah.
And, cameras are cheap now. And so you could really get that same look. You could achieve the same thing very easily now.
And so what do you do with it? What's the first move?
So I shoot these 4 episodes. I get them edited. My editor had never edited anything before, but I was like, "You can do it.
What do you mean? Where'd you find him?
He was a cousin of my partner Trent. So Richard Gums, and Richard was like, "I guess I could do it." So I said, "I know what the shot should look like," and so Jeff helped us too. Jeff said, "Bring your editing equipment up here to the Helter Skelter house, and let's figure this out."
Let's hope nobody gets hacked up, and we'll just fix this show.
Exactly. So we spent a lot of time up there, and he actually showed Richard how to really cut a sitcom. And we got these 4 episodes. We don't know what to do with them. Now I hook up with Byron Allen. You know who Byron Allen is?
Yeah, of course.
So I hook up with Byron, and Byron's like, "Hey, Bentley, yeah, I'll take them out for you, but I'm not going to give you any money." I'm like, "I got to pay these investors back. What are you talking about?" He goes, "Hey, I don't know, but I need you to sign something giving me the rights for 2 years." I was like, "Byron, are you out of your mind? I can't do that." So he's like, "Oh, I don't know what to tell you then." So I leave Byron, and I'm trying to figure out what to do with these things. And then a friend of mine came to me and said, "Hey, what about TV1?" I'm like, "TV1, the little small cable station?" He goes, "It's better than nothing." He sets up a meeting. Me and Trent, we fly to Baltimore.
Right.
And we go there, and I'm telling the people, "Hey, man, look, we got these shows." And this lady, it's always a black lady, too, with an attitude. She's like, "We ain't trying to do that Tyler Perry shit here." And I said, no, this is not Tyler Perry stuff. This is a good show that I created. And anyway, I had to sell her on it. She wasn't interested. She says, "Well, we don't have the money for that." I said, "Is that right? Well, how can you turn down free?" And she says, "Free? What are you talking about free?" I said, "I'm willing to take a bet on my shows. I'll give them to you. You can play them for free. But if they hit a certain number, you guys just have to agree to do more." And so they said, "Okay, well, yeah, okay, we'll do that." So now we set up for this launch. TV1's going to do their little small marketing campaign. But what they did have was they had a radio station called Radio One. And a lot of people listened to it. So they used their radio stations to promote it. And when we premiered in 2010, January, it was the biggest thing that they had ever done on the network. And the advertisers started coming in. They were like, "Can you make more?" I was like, yeah. So they ordered 26 more from me.
Wow.
And then it's like, okay, now we got this thing going on. And now we need to get a place to shoot it, because we were shooting at the guy that owns Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. he had this little space, and he was letting us shoot there.
Was he the cinematographer as well?
No, he wasn't the cinematographer, but he was just this old cat. "Yeah, you guys can shoot over here." And he was like, yeah, it was a nightmare. We didn't like shooting there. So Trent came up with the idea, "Hey man, look, let's build our own studio." So when TV1 says, "Hey, where are you going to shoot this?" We were like, "We have a place. Just send us the money. We're going to pay for that." And we use that money to build our studio.
And did they give you a real budget?
Yeah, they gave us. Not in
sitcom money.
No,
but,
yeah,
but enough to make it worth your time and do it, and,
Yes.
and build the studio that you now have 11 years
Yes.
later.
Yes.
That's unbelievable. So how many episodes total did you do with that show?
65. I did 65. We needed 35 more to get to that 100 mark, and they just weren't willing to go any further. But the 65 episodes are still playing, and we're still receiving, residuals and everything.
That's
cool.
incredible.
Yeah.
And then now you get your own studio. So do you start going, okay, let's do it again and
Yep.
again and again?
Yep.
And how many times have you done this?
Yeah. Oh, so I've done it again about 6 times. So I created this show called Family Time. I take that over to this new network, Bounce TV, when it was starting. We ended up doing 91 episodes there. Then I did it again with this show called In the Cut. We ended up doing 87 episodes of that. Then I did it again with this show called Grown Folks, and we only did 13 episodes of that.
And you're in a position now, just because I talk a lot about this on the show, a lot of times where people get tired of this business is dealing with all the execs, listening to all their stupid comments. When you started like I did, in a world like I was doing Fat Beach in 1992.
Fat
When I
Beach,
was,
yeah.
I rewrote and directed that movie. So
Get
I
out of here.
was
You
doing
didn't
that.
know that, did you?
I
Bentley?
did not. I did not.
I was doing that movie when I was 22 years old, but nobody was telling me what I could do or not do. I was just doing, and it was great. The same on my shorts. And once you start getting into the system, where everybody is telling you their thoughts on this and that. So have you maintained your ability for the last decade to just do whatever you want, whenever you want?
No. So with TV One, I could do whatever I wanted to do. When I got into Bounce, it was like I was competing with their network execs. They hated me. They hated the fact that I brought some content in there and gave it to them. They were like, "Oh, we love him, but we hate him because
we didn't come up with this.
we didn't come up with it."
Right.
So they made life like real living hell, to the point I used to just use it as an exercise to test my patience and go, "Okay, I'm not going to cuss her out today. I'm just not going to do it." And so I do all these episodes. They're giving me all these strenuous notes, and I'm going, "Guys, you guys do know that I've been doing this for a very long time, right?" But they just, were trying to belittle everything that I was doing, and we ended up getting close to 100 on both shows. But then going beyond, I'm doing this thing with MC Light for the All Black station, which is AMC network. Those execs, they just send me the money and say, turn in a product. And I love it.
That's the best.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. I'm loving this. This is really like an amazing story. I just, a lot of people don't understand, like independent films, that you can go make TV shows.
Yeah.
And you can go, you still have to go find someone who will put it on and someone who will market it and help you with all that. But it sounds like it's going great. So what's the next plans right now?
So there's a few things. Obviously, I'm trying to take advantage of the relationships that I do have at some of these streaming platforms or networks or whatever you want to call them, and get as much stuff as I can on there. However, I do have a network that I'm kind of launching myself. It's a digital network. It's a streamer as well, called NBT, and we're in the process of launching that. But we're kind of targeting our audience in the Caribbean because it's an underserved market, and we know that's
Comedy.
Right. And they've never seen content that's produced in a way that Americans produce TV, but utilizing the talent that's there in the Caribbean. So they see their own people on television. And so that was our business model. And so far, it's really starting to blossom into something.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
What does NBT stand for? National
Black Television. So it's for, like I said, the Caribbean, certain parts of Africa. If it makes its way here, great. It's like it's direct competition with BET. And so that's exactly what our business slogan is, our business model. So,
and have you heard from Tyler during this whole kind of run?
No. I saw Tyler on a cruise ship about 3 years ago, and it wasn't a very friendly reception. It wasn't mean, but it was almost like, hey, yeah. And I was like, hey, no, you remember? No.
Yeah.
You remember the studio?
Yeah.
It wasn't.
He doesn't want you having a studio.
Yeah, it wasn't the warm and fuzzies. But I mean, listen, what he's been able to do is phenomenal. He's got a studio that in mass, it's bigger than Warner Brothers, Universal, and Paramount combined.
It's so sick.
So it's pretty sick what he did.
He's got nothing to be angry about. He's got nothing to be competitive about either. But well, Bentley, I really appreciate you coming in, man.
Yeah, man.
I mean, it's a great story, and I think it inspires people and motivates people to get off their ass and kind of do their own shit, which, producer Ted Foxman and I are going to do something ourselves right now. So I'm excited for that. But thank you for coming in, and we'll catch up with you soon. Absolutely. I can't wait for us to work together, too, man. I want to work with you. I got an idea, actually. So, okay. We'll talk about it. All right. Thank you. Can I produce? Hollywood Wayz. We'll be back next week. I don't know what. Maybe we'll talk holiday movies or something. While you're talking, what is your favorite holiday movie? We'll just throw that out since we're approaching Christmas. My favorite holiday movie is, believe it or not, is Miracle on 34th Street. You know, it's funny because you said you were friends with the guy from Die Hard. Yes. I thought you were going to say Die Hard, which is my favorite Christmas movie. Everybody's been debating whether that's even a Christmas movie. It's not even a debate. It's a ridiculous debate. Of course it's a Christmas movie. It's a great family Christmas movie. Indeed it is. It's a little violent, but, we love it. So, all right, thanks, Bentley. Great to talk to you. You are now tuned in to Hollywood Wayz with Doug and Breezy. Oh, hey, Ted.